2005 is always a difficult year to chat about due to the passing of Eddie Guerrero. I mean, what really matters on camera when a legend like that was gone too soon? It's always important to mention it as well. As long as we keep him in the conversation, he's never truly gone. It was a mad 12 months for WWE though, because they just continued to struggle creatively. The Attitude Era was long gone, so what the hell was going to be the new secret sauce? I mean, just 3 years after this, they would be going PG. Sums it up. Wasn't working. So what truly hit the floor and likely stopped some people watching? Thank you for joining me, my friends. My name is Simon Miller. I am a bored a-hole. Let's find out. Number 10, The Big Show goes sumo. There must be more to this because it was so weird. At WrestleMania 21, The Big Show was told he would be having a gimmick match and facing sumo legend Akabono. This had been a somewhat silly wrestling bout. I'd have understood it more, but we were going to go the other way. This was a full-on sumo wrestling match on the biggest card of the year. Akabono was never going to agree to a work contest either, given his background, so it was legit. Surprise, surprise, it lasted 8 seconds. Paul White didn't have any experience here. He got wrecked. Be telling me to go into a hair contest, I'm losing. I suppose it was cool seeing the ring turned into a sumo arena, but getting the Big Show to put on a mawashi, I don't know, didn't feel like we were respecting the sanctity of the sport. Amazingly, this is also sandwiched between Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, JBL versus John Cena. That's a nuts card. I get wanting to buffer those two to keep the fans engaged, but go and watch this one for yourself and make up your own mind. It is over so fast because Akabono throws the Big Show away. The truth is, the fans didn't really care about this, but they also really hadn't been given a reason to either. 3 years after this, where Big Show did it again with Floyd Mayweather, it made way more sense because the build-up was treated like it was life or death. Akabono was not granted the same privileges. He likely should have been. Number 9, all the non-wrestler wrestling matches. So ain't no mistake about it, this was Vince McMahon just torturing people he didn't like. Nobody was desperate for authority figures to fight. You know, we got loads of it in 2005. Even Eric Bischoff knew that doing him versus Teddy Long on the Survivor Series was mad. And look, they tried, bless them I suppose, but they are not trained in-ring performers, so what's the best we really could have hoped for? Of course fans tempered their expectations too, but go and watch it for yourself and remember, people paid for this. With that in mind, oh my gosh, Teddy mocked Bischoff's martial arts background, which seems weird all things considered, and Eric spends a long time choking Long with his belt. I suppose he wasn't going to use his skills anyway, but also sounds a little bit kinky. The finish saw the Boogeyman help Teddy get the win, and don't forget Palmer Cannon on the outside. I don't even know why he was there, just because. Make a new franchise in that. This went on second from last two, and it's as above. WWE felt like this would just reset the audience before the main event, but I think most people were stunned it even happened to begin with. Some of the crowd would also just give up on the promotion after stuff like this, especially if you've gone down there and dropped some money. It's not what you wanted. Once more, Eric has talked about this on his podcast, and with no actual wrestler out there, it was 5 minutes of people not wrestling. Before you say, but what about the Boogeyman? He literally arrives and ate some worms, and I actually think that makes this worse. If we did it today, the fan base would have a meltdown, or so than usual. Number 8, the Royal Rumble finish. So I love this, and I think most people do. I mean, it was a mistake, but look at it this way. If you are going to make an error at the Royal Rumble, this is the way to do it. Make sure you do go watch this if you've never seen it before. But John Cena and Batista topple over the top rope and literally hit the floor at the same time. That wasn't the plan. Big Dave was meant to win. You can tell something is off though because everybody panics, and it's the aftermath that wasn't ideal. The referees stall for time as one raises Cena's hand, so another raises Batista's hand. As the crowd tries to work out what's next, well, I'm gonna tell you. Because an irate Vince McMahon essentially breaks kayfabe and comes marching to the ring, and we do not talk about this enough. He wasn't part of the story, he just emerged through rage. The whole thing then became a meme for the rest of our lives because, yes, as Vince slides in the ring, he tore both of his quads. To this day, I don't know how he did that. It's basically impossible. Obviously, we didn't know that, so the next few minutes are surreal. McMahon sits on the ring mat and yells at John and Dave like they had paid truant that day and he was the dad telling them off. It's unreal this happened. And after scolding the match officials too, it does get restarted and the animal wins. How this wasn't planned, I'll never know. Well, it kind of feels like it was. Batista was so worried he thought he was going to get fired, and Adam Copeland has talked about how insane it was backstage. I mean, at least it was entertaining, but again, because they hit the floor simultaneously, we just thought this was some weird script WWE was trying. Why I struggle a little bit to justify in this list, but yes, from a Vince McMahon point of view, this must have been down there. his entire plan went out the window. Number 7, the new Legion of Doom. The word new in front of a tag team is death, so do the opposite of Nike and just don't do it. Most fans don't even want an updated version anyway. The reason you're even trying to breathe life into a name is that they were legends. Respect what they did, don't try and reimagine it. Hilariously, this got out of control in 2005 because WWE tried this with the flippin' Legion of Doom. The Road Warriors, a team so over that they had big crowd reactions named after them. Now, to be fair, it was most of the commentary calling them the new LOD, but it was still said, and yes, while Animal remained, his new partner was Heidenreich. Hawk was gone. Nobody liked this, even more so because after Heidenreich had joined in July, he had some kind of weird special ceremony in August where he also got given his spikes, and the whole thing felt so forced. It was also stupid because we'd already tried this with Droz years prior and it hadn't worked then, and it was just a Vince McMahon pet project. He liked Heidenreich, so whatever we gotta do was really quite reductive. We also gave them new face paint which wound people up, and their spikes were now white. I don't know, just strange as they won the tag team titles, and then months later Heidenreich got released anyway. Amazingly, after that too, Animal embarked on a singles run. Nobody remembers that. It just wasn't treating a legendary team the right way. Sometimes, just leave it the flub alone. Number 7, Vince McMahon insults Jim Ross. This was always bad, and yet it happened a lot, but every now and then from nowhere, Vince McMahon would dedicate a serious chunk of TV time to insulting Jim Ross. There was no story, there was no point. Nobody enjoyed it apart from one guy. It was a little bit maddening. You can see this for yourself on the 24th of October 2005 Raw, and I promise you, you won't believe it. JR was at home recovering after colon surgery, which Vince thought was hilarious for some reason. He then turned up on the show in doctor's scrubs and dubbed himself Dr. Heine. I now hate myself a little bit for saying that. He was also in a hospital that had a nurse with him when he proceeded to quite literally pull things out of a fake Jim Ross's ass. I'm not joking, one of the items was even JR's own head, because you know, he has his head up his ass. Of course, Ross didn't find any of this funny as he watched on like everybody else, and this goes on for ages. It's not a quick skit, it's mammoth and gets worse and worse. This would have cost thousands too. TV time is expensive. It also wasn't a laughing matter as Jim was pretty damn sick. He'd also dedicated a large part of his life to the company. Feels like he could have been shown a little respect, also turned the fans off in droves. That is not the point. Number 5, the Tim White suicide skits. So this is even worse, and please do skip this entry if it's not for your brain. I get it. It really is bottom of the barrel offensive stuff, but all you need to do is copy and paste it into a 2025 world. It would never happen. The public outrage would be huge. During this period, though, WWE started uploading videos to its official website featuring ex-referee Tim White. Admittedly, most of that was in 2006, but it all kicked off the year before Armageddon. Announcer Josh Matthews had gone to visit the man at his friendly tap bar and discovered that Tim was depressed. He was struggling after getting hurt at Judgment Day 2002, and that was legit, by the way. He had suffered such a bad shoulder injury he wasn't able to do his job anymore. So it's pretty sad to begin with when, I kid you not, White grabbed a shotgun and threatened to end it all live on pay-per-view. The cameras then went dark and it was widely insinuated he had killed himself. Even back then I couldn't believe it. It was awful. Of course, the show itself then just cut right to Kid Cash versus Juventud Guerrera, as if this didn't matter at all. Let's just call it out for what it is, using suicide for clicks and engagement. It's terrible. Of course, we made jokes all the way this too. Pun after pun. I will never understand it. Do not say it was a different time either, because you can Google this. People were just as appalled 20 years ago as they would be today. You also don't want to see this on wrestling TV. Poor Tim White as well. I don't think it helped him at all. Number 4, Chavo Guerrero becomes Kerwin White. 10th of September 2005, Sunday Night Heat. From nowhere, we got a vignette from Chavo Guerrero as he pondered if life would be better if he was white. Yep, how WWE got away with this I do not know. And look, it was scrapped as soon as Eddie Guerrero passed away. And that sums it up. If this wasn't controversial, they wouldn't have stopped it. It literally saw Chavo start dressing like some rich golfer too as he took shots at his past Mexican roots. I have no idea if Guerrero was happy to do this or not, but I can't imagine he could be that high on it. It had no upside. Kerwin White was not going to main event WrestleMania. His catchphrase was literally "white is right too." Let's not get this twisted. It was Vince McMahon deliberately prodding the bear because that's how he wanted to get ratings. Pure anger and controversy. Forget 2005 as well. Go and watch the whole thing. This is all-time bad. Never do it again. Number 3, bestiality sex. So this video is now going to get banned on YouTube, which is probably for the best, and Kurt Angle has talked about this after the fact. He hated it, as he should have done. It was bad. And let's not forget that ever since he burst onto the scene in 1999, he went on to quickly become one of the best of all time. I mean, he was great in the ring, and he had the character down too. We could all hope to be as good as the Olympic gold medalist. And in 2005, he had done a lot, though, when he finally entered a feud with Booker T, and this made sense. This was fine. You could certainly make something of it, but given that Booker was alongside wife Sharmell, well, I suppose once again Vince McMahon wanted to make noise for all the wrong reasons. I should just try and explain it as best as I can, but it is shockingly bad. Kurt would kidnap Sharmell one night and tell her the reason he did this was to have bestiality sex. It's absolutely embarrassing, offensive, insulting, and many other words. And once more, if you were a fan watching this and decided, you know what, I'm done with WWE, nobody would have blamed you. Later on too, Angle started claiming promos that Sharmell had fondled him behind Booker T's back, and the whole plot was totally unnecessary. Given it was Kurt Angle and Booker T, they could have had great matches in their sleep. You didn't need any of this on top. It was a real pity because, of course, it was one of Kurt's last major WWE feuds before he left for TNA, but we should really never talk about it again, although don't sweep it under the carpet. Sometimes it does need to be brought up, otherwise you just know we'll get a part 2. That cannot happen. Number 2, the WWE Muhammad Hassan attack. So on the 7th of July 2005 SmackDown, the Muhammad Hassan character essentially had his last proper moment, because WWE aired what to this day must be one of the most controversial things ever. I mean, screw controversial, it just sucked. Now by this point too, the WWE had taken this character and totally reimagined it. Any nuance it had when it did debut, well, now it was just leaning into stereotypes. Hassan still got into a feud with The Undertaker, and on this evening, a group of hooded men ran out to the ring to conduct a seriously violent attack on the dead man before they carried his unconscious body out in a ceremonial fashion. I'm sure there's a picture on the screen right now too. You can absolutely understand what WWE was aping here, and no, it wasn't a mistake. What really made it bad though is that during this week we also had the 7/7 London bombing attacks, where many people died due to a terrorist situation on a tube. Given that SmackDown had already been pre-recorded, nobody had to air this, and yet for some reason WWE did it anyway. Now, Bruce Pritchard would later claim on his podcast there was nothing that could be done, but personally, I don't believe it. It was such a PR disaster, UPN rang WWE and told them they were not happy, and that if the Muhammad Hassan character wasn't gotten rid of, well, there would be serious consequences. We then got to the Great American Bash, and The Undertaker essentially murdered that persona, and we never did see it again. So yeah, not only was the timing was atrocious, not only was this an insult to your fans, but it was a massive mistake. Otherwise, WWE would have fought back, and they didn't. It was done. Number 1, the death of Eddie Guerrero. So we've talked about this a few times through the video, and I think it is massively important because it is one of the most tragic passing aways in the history of professional wrestling, because even in 2005, most people realized Eddie Guerrero was one of the best wrestlers of all time. It was the 13th of November 2005 when he did pass away in his hotel room, and of course, many subsequent episodes of Raw and SmackDown were dedicated to the man, and so they should have been. It really was the worst timing because apparently Eddie had turned his life around after struggling with personal issues. But even if we just focus on what he was doing in the ring, my gosh, towards the end of the year, some of his work was absolutely monumental. The man could make you laugh, the man could make you cry, and when he did win the World Heavyweight Championship from Brock Lesnar, well, just use my own stupid catchphrase, made you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. There was also a rumor that just before this, the WWE were going to try him again as the world champion because he just kept smashing it out of the park. Very sadly, we never got there. We do have to remember is that I am recording this in 2025, and the memory of Eddie Guerrero today is probably stronger than it ever has been, especially as newer generations go back and watch his work and they also realize, oh my gosh, he's one of the best to do it. If we are going to talk about 2005 in any of these videos though, it will forever be remembered as the year that one of the greats left us. And as we've already said, I think that is important, because if we do keep talking about Guerrero, well, he can never truly be forgotten. And if anybody has deserved that right, is this guy. Know of anything else in 2005 that made you roll your eyes? And there is quite a lot because WWE was unhinged. Make sure you let us know in the comments below. If you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You can also click the video on the screen to get even more wrestling information in your life. But otherwise, my friends, I just hope you have a terrific day. I'll talk to you again soon.